Have you taken the time to look around and consider what you really want and what you don't want? Hi, this is Dr. Anita with another Diamond Moment. The diamonds of our lives are produced through time, heat, and pressure, but it is absolutely up to us to gather the value from the experiences that we have in life, to convert them into something that is useful and utilize them in a way that gives us an added benefit to life. We talk all the time about the process of becoming. Becoming is a process, and that process has stages. But if we continue to live our lives the same way, clueless, we will continue to have the outcomes that we least desire in life. I want us to really begin to look deeply into the situations around us. In previous episodes, we talked about becoming the change that we want to see in the world. We talked about staying still because what we do makes a difference, and sometimes holding still makes the greatest difference of all. If you are paying any attention to the political climate throughout the world, not just here where I live in the United States, but throughout the world, to determine what you want and what you don't want. Many times we look at people and we attribute the words that they're saying to, oh, they're making it up. This is not what they really mean, when in reality, it's exactly what they really mean. When we look at the political climate in the United States, I had an opportunity to speak with someone very recently, and they seemed to be surprised at what was taking place. They were surprised at what was going on. They talked to me about beginning to pay attention to world news, because when you're able to see it occurring around you, you're able to make a informed decision on what you want or what you would prefer not to have in your life. But as long as you're walking around with blinders on in a silo where the only voices that you hear are echoing your own thoughts, you lose the ability to make an informed decision, and therefore you can be tricked into choosing something that you didn't want. There has been a concerted effort for over 2 decades, actually, about homeschooling in the United States, about taking control, about stirring strife and discord among people. And we've had the opportunity to choose leaders who saw the truth in what was taking place. But instead, we chose leaders who denied the truth, who lied at every turn, and we thought that those people would be the ones to believe, to accept, and to turn our lives over to. And as things begin to change, as the country that we knew it began to take on a different form, a different vibe, a different attitude, many still refused to pay attention because they thought that it doesn't matter who's in a position of authority. It doesn't matter because everyone is lying. And I think where we are now, if you've paid attention, you're able to understand it does matter who is in authority. It does matter because the decisions that they make can roll back on all of us, not just people that we may not particularly like, not just people who have been villainized over generations, but people who may be innocent, children who've done nothing but be children. And yet we see them victimized in horrendous ways based off of the decisions that we made because we'd either been lied to or we were ill-informed because we thought it didn't matter. The diamonds of our lives are produced through time, heat, and pressure. These are heated times. These are pressured times. And these are the times that we have the ability to utilize what we've learned and turn things around. We talked about holding still because in so doing, you are lending the weight of your choices and your decisions in a particular area. We talked about the fact that over generations, the African American community within the United States has led the struggle for freedom, for civil rights and liberties. And we watched as those who could be in the fight if they wanted to, but who it was not mandatory for, decided after listening to lies and propaganda that it was the African community's fault that they were experiencing the things that they were, not giving any credence at all to systemic racism. So now people are beginning to understand that it doesn't matter what I look like, I can still be victimized. It doesn't matter if I come from a particular community, I can still be victimized. I heard a farmer who was talking, and he was explaining that he didn't have a problem with the tariffs and not helping poor people around the world until he realized that the crops that he was growing was the crops that were being sold and given to the underprivileged of the world. It didn't touch him until his check didn't come because they weren't feeding the poor around the world anymore. And then he realized somehow or another the dots connected, and he realized that my living, that my well-being is based off of someone I've never seen. It's based off of the poor people that I was taught to look down on. It's based off of those who are in need. And so now I think in this period that he's experiencing the heat and the pressure and the understanding that my decision put me in the position that I'm in today. I think if he had it to do over again, he might make a different decision. When we look at the fact that our government was being shut down so that it wouldn't be responsible for health care for poor people, assisting with the health care for poor people, so that the wealthy people can have more wealth. I think about the fact that the current president, while he was doing his rallies, repeatedly gave this story about the snake. And the bottom line, the punchline on that story was, you knew that I was a snake before you let me in. Don't be surprised if a snake bites you if you already know that it's a snake. During the rallies, they said repeatedly, if you're poor, I'm not going to do anything for you All I want is your vote. And yet people consistently say it, oh, they don't mean that. They're just saying that. They're just saying that to be funny and to be obnoxious. They don't mean that. Except that now you're able to see they absolutely did mean that. They said all along, if I get back in power, I'm going against anybody who thought different from me during this election, who had a different agenda, who spoke the truth about who I was. And if you don't believe me, then look around at the current people that are being targeted for prosecution because either they told the truth about what they saw, they were fired for telling the truth about what they saw, or they quit rather than to bend to the will of what they already knew was not representative of who they wanted to be. So as we go through this process of becoming and realizing that it is absolutely up to us to determine who we want to be and what we want to be in an uncertain time, and the way that we're able to look at a situation, determine what it is, and then move forward in a way that will bring us to where we want to be, we have to look within. We have to be creative in the way that we address injustice, not only in one country, but around the world. We have to be willing to become the change that we'd like to see. We have to be able to say no when something is not right for us and not go along with the crowd. The government in the United States was set up with checks and balances. And part of that is to say no when it's appropriate and yes when it's appropriate. It's not to cow down to anyone and to acquiesce because of the pressure. We, as a society, must call on those who are in positions of leadership to speak as we'd ask them to, or not return them to office. If you're not experiencing what you'd like to see in your life, you have the ability to change things. But you have to make up your mind on what side you stand. If each one of us moved in the direction that we felt was beneficial for the world, the vibration of the world would change and we would see the difference that we want to have. If you haven't done so, get your Diamond Journey Journal. Becoming is a process. A process has stages by me, Dr. Anita McLaughlin, and begin to write down your thoughts. Begin to determine what you want in your life and what you would prefer not to have. Once you determine that, look within yourself to find the best direction for reaching the goals that you have and move forward, because becoming is a process, and a process has stages. Please visit my website at www.DrAnitaMc.com. That's DrAnitaMc.com. Join me on NoomVibe and FanBase, and please continue to come back, because we truly are in the process of change.